Hey everybody, Tom Barnes, Chicago scene in the Avondale neighborhood, and I'm at a pop-up for Horror House Pop-Ups, and that's what you're seeing right here. Check this out. It's a horror movie fan's dream because it's all things horror movies and horror comics, everything related. There's Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees, Frankenstein, Creepy Magazine, and look at this. Original horror movie comic content right here, even in 3D. And it's the mastermind behind two brothers. This is Moses, and this is Vinny. Guys, get a little closer so I can have you in the shot together. But how are you guys?
Great.
Pretty good.
Appreciate you guys coming out.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me at the glorious pop-up we have here today. But for people who might be new to the scene on horror in Chicago, you guys have kind of started off online, doing your own thing, selling horror stuff, and also having your own merchandise that you put together, and now you're going to put up a brick and mortar, right?
Yep.
Talk about that.
Yeah, we started as the Cryptic Closet back in March 2016. We started doing conventions like Flashback Weekend, Days of the Dead Chicago, a lot of local shows. Recently did Riot Fest, and we would travel and do different comic conventions,
Really?
horror cons, and kind of a network, and kind of made our way through there. And then over 6 years later, we're now in the midst of opening up the Horror House, which is kind of like our bigger vision, where we sell not just the Cryptic Closet stuff, not just our t-shirts and our comics, but wholesale stuff like Trick or Treat Studios, NECAs, as well as our friends brands like Terror Threads, Western Evil, Atomic Cotton, a lot of popular brands within the horror community.
So is that something that you guys have noticed in the last couple of years? I mean, horror movies have, they ebb and flow as far as popularity over the years, but I feel like in the last few years, people have really dug the horror movie scene just because of some of the older movies that have been remade, like the new Halloween movie, and people still seem to love Friday the 13th and all that kind of stuff. Is that like what you've seen for why wanting to do this?
Yeah, it seems like over the past, like you said, over the past few years, we really have seen this kind of like surgence in the horror community where it's kind of pierced the mainstream, like nobody ever expected even, Jordan Peele to get into the horror space, Scream made a comeback and
it did really well too,
you know what I mean? So like it's in the mainstream, you see it in video games, you see its influence in like the wrestling community, like we have Dan Housing doing the forward for the third issue of the comic book.
Which is your comic book, right?
Right, yeah, so this is our comic book. We're up to the third issue at this point, and we wanted to do something a little different, a little cool, a little retro, so we made it 3D, and the effect came out really nice.
But we will say, this whole store the idea wasn't really presented once the boom came. We just have a natural love for horror. And we wanted to do the storefront when we kind of first started the Cryptic Closet, as we started doing shows. And then as years went by, the idea just became more and more believable. And knowing that Chicago doesn't really have a shop that's catered just to horror, it felt like the perfect
And it should, right?
Right? Absolutely. That's what we felt like. And as far as the comic goes, we teamed up with Guerrilla Publishing, had a bunch of our friends and artists, Julio Guerra, Ashley Esper, Adam Forrester, Bill Hallier, who did the cover. And we decided to do something like Creep Show, Tales from the Crypt, and do a bunch of mini shorts.
All like vintage horror stuff for sure. If anybody who grew up in the 80s and 90s seeing all of those movies either on VHS tapes or popping up on certain places where I would see them like at garage sales, like, what's this? And you'd watch it like, this is awesome. How come I don't know about it?
I still geek out over those little things,
Absolutely. And you also do mashup with your t-shirts and stuff like that, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. As far as like our shirts, we love doing. We're a sucker for dad jokes, puns, pop culture, music. So we have for example, we have a Alkaline Trejo, which is an Alkaline Trio shirt with Danny Trejo's face on the side of the skull. We have the Franzig, which is Fran Drescher, her face over Danzig's body.
Yeah. The Wraitherhead one as well.
Yeah, we have a Wraitherhead, which is Mike Tyson over, the character's face.
Yeah.
We're just a sucker for all that. Fanny DeVito is probably our bread and butter as far as like what sells most and consistently, and that is
kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah.
The fanny pack with Danny DeVito, and it also has his hair on the side.
Yep,
right?
also has the hair on the side. That's so those are one of the few things that are all original to us. You can't get them anywhere else except our shop and our website.
And I think that's what makes you guys unique. It's not just selling stores where people might be like, oh, is it like a XYZ store in a mall or with this? No, it's not in a mall, first of all. It's in Chicago, which is awesome. It's right here in the Avondale neighborhood. But you also sell things that make it unique, which is the mashups that you guys do, the comics. You even have a character from the comics that you sell as well, like as a I don't know, what do you guys call it? Stuffed animal, stuffed toy?
Plush,
Like a little plushie.
Yeah. So the idea is to get the store up and running for May. What timeline is that looking like for you guys? And it's right across the street from Kuma's, because that's where we're at now here on Belmont, right?
2911 West Belmont. We're aiming to open in May. The only way we see that not happening is if the city stops that. But I don't, you know, it's just a waiting game right now. But yeah, as far as that, we're going to be having our original stuff, as well as a lot of brands who not are just friends, but really popular brands within that horror genre.
Some of them local, right?
Yep, Terror Threads
Yeah.
is one of them. Atomic Cotton, Western Evil. We're working with a lot of horror artists as well, like Stephen Laurel's Holiday, Adam Michaels, Tristan Young, and we're going to have original artwork, original paintings, stuff that you can't get from like an FYE section, or it's not going to be your typical Target NECA section. It's going to be a lot more catered to the horror fans and the horror community.
Right, and one of a kind for sure. So for people who want to learn more about when you guys are going up online and all that, there's a Instagram, right?
Yes.
That will have all that information. Why don't you give that a shout out?
Yeah, the Instagram, the Facebook is just at the Horror House Shop. But just helping us do a lot more things with the shop. We've been pouring everything. I mean, I literally pulled out my 401k and took a complete gamble on our idea and our vision. So now we're just trying to just do a little bit more, you know.
Yeah.
So
thank you guys very much. I appreciate you taking time out of your pop-up day here. I have to do some shopping for sure, so I'm glad I brought the checkbook. So thank you very much. I wish you guys nothing but the best, and hopefully we'll see you in earlier May versus later May to get this open, right?
yeah, absolutely. Then you have to come in and check out the shop and do an tour. Also, thank you for coming out on your off day.
No
Yeah.
worries. It's all good. I'm happy to do it. But again, the store will be at what intersection? Just give that.
2911 West Belmont, right between Francisco
And Richmond.
Yeah.
Right by Kuma's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, literally
across the
right
street.
across the street from Kuma's.
Perfect. Thank you guys very much. That's the Chicago scene. Come on, check them out. Thank you guys. Before we get out, I just want to give you a little run of these T-shirts. But that is the Chicago scene here in Avondale. TBARNAS at WGNTV.com. If you have a suggestion for the Chicago scene, that's TBarness at WGNTV.com. We'll see you later.